Moving on to the East, we now turn our attention to Marshall. Third straight year with 10 or more wins for Marshall and their head football coach, of course, Doc Holliday. Doc, good to have you here again, buddy.
It's great to be here.
We'll talk to you in just a second. Also joining us from the defensive line, Gary Thompson, the all-time leader in sacks. Gary, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
And, of course, from the offensive side of the football, they're going to be represented by Michael Selby. Michael, we'll talk to you in a second. Coach, I mentioned that third straight year, 10-plus wins. And we've talked in the past about establishing the tradition and establishing expectations. That has been done at Marshall, has it not?
Well, there's no question. Back in the 90s, late 90s, Marshall was the winningest team in college football. And, when I took that job, we wanted to get it back to being where you could, expectation standards were extremely high, and we've got them there. We've won three, like I said, we had 3 seasons in a row with 10-plus win seasons. That's a standard we expect, but we know there's a lot of work that goes into it. And what's happened the last 3 years doesn't have any bearing at all what's going to happen this season.
This is an impressive stat. Only schools with consecutive double-digit success intact: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Florida State, and Marshall. That's elite company, I think, by any barometer.
Well, we take great pride in that. I mean, that's what we expect to do at Marshall. Expectations are extremely high, not only from our fan base and our community, but also our football team. But we also know that you can't get complacent. I mean, just because you've done that in the past, you get complacent, that's not going to happen in the future. So we try to go to work every day to get better as a football team, as a staff, and every day we just go to work to try to do it again. Every
team obviously has to replace players from the previous season, but you look at your seniors that have stepped up in years past. They've always played their best football of their career in their senior season.
Well, there's no question. I mean, our seniors have had their best year their senior year. Example of that a year ago is a guy named DeAndre Reeves, who, to be honest with you, prior to last season, didn't contribute a whole lot, but ended up being a special team player of the year in our conference. Was the #1 punt returner, kick returner in our league, and was a tremendous receiver. So there's a lot of guys that has to happen with this year, including the 2 that are sitting here right now.
We just saw a shot of the Joan Edwards Stadium on the campus of Marshall. It is a very difficult place to play. Right now, you're #1 in the country for winning percentage at home. That makes it special, I would have to think, because of your fans.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, we've got a great history at Marshall. Our fan base, nobody else has our story. And, unfortunately, they don't have our story. But, we started over after the plane crash in 1970 and took a long time to get it back to where we were the winningest team in college football in the 90s. And, our community, our fan base, maybe the University of Florida and some of those other places I've been, there's been bigger stadiums and bigger budgets, but there's not a football team in America that means more to their fan base than what Marshall does because of what we've gone through. And our players understand that, they embrace that, and they just really excited when we get the opportunity to play at home.
I've talked to you about this before, and I want to ask you again, because Marshall has a very special place in your heart. You're from Hurricane, West Virginia. Obviously, you have a great sense of history for that. But what does Marshall mean to you?
Well, I mean, Marshall, #1, they gave me the first opportunity to be a head football coach, Mike Hamrick and Dr. Kopp at the time. And, I appreciate that, and I embrace that. And they give me the opportunity to live out my dream in life. But, growing up as a small child there and experiencing the plane crash and knowing the history and watching it going from ashes back to winning championships, I never want to be a head coach anywhere where expectations and standards weren't extremely high. I want that. I want to embrace that. It's what I want. And again, Marshall gave you the opportunity when you go to a place that has a chance to win championships. So I just appreciate everything that Marshall University has done for me, and I'm just really proud to be the head football coach there.
And of course, then you opened up the new facility recently, and that is something special because when you come into the stadium and you can see where the players can train, everything is right there for them.
Well, there's a lot of programs in America standing still right now. We're not. I mean, it just tells you the importance of football to our community and our fan base. We just built $42 million worth of new facilities. There's not a program in America that has a better indoor facility than we do. Nobody. Better academic center, our sports medicine transition center. And guess what? One of our ex-players, Vinny Curry, just donated the money along with the rest of the alumni to totally redo our locker room. So, like I say, there's a lot of people standing still. Marshall's not one of them, and we got to make sure we're moving forward. And, our players understand that history, and they understand how important it is, and that's why they work so hard not to let the fans down.
Let's talk about the offense, because obviously you've had a potent offense in the past. Chase Litton, quarterback, did a game last year against Norfolk State. He really showed he has potential. What does he have to do to take the next step to run that football team?
Well, in my career, I've only played 3 true freshman quarterbacks, one being Phillip Rivers, NC State, one being Cato, who, as we had at Marshall, and now Chase Litton. And you know, anytime you play a true freshman, you go through growing pains because they are a true freshman. And I thought he embraced it. I thought he exceeded expectations last year as a freshman, but he also understands the standards and expectations as quarterback at Marshall University are extremely high. He's embraced that responsibility, and he understands. He's gone to work every day. The leadership, the quarterback position is all about intangibles, and you can see those intangibles throughout the summer, and that's got to continue into the fall. But I like where he is at this point. He understands to be the quarterback at Marshall, he has to take that next step, and he's working really hard to get that done.
Is also the next step mechanics, as far as tweaking the mechanics, I should say?
I mean, we can all get better. You don't stay the same. You get better, you get worse, regardless of what position you play. And you know, Chase takes great pride in his position. Billy Legg's a tremendous quarterback coach, does a great job with him, and they work extremely hard to make him the best possible player he can be. But Chase has embraced all that, and I expect him to come back this year and be even better.
Well, you look at the offense, and two of your better players are going to be tight ends. What flexibility does that give you, having two tight ends? You can play them in, or these guys have the possibility, obviously, of splitting out also.
Well, you know, Ryan Yurchek and Manuel Bird are both not only tremendous kids and players, but they're very athletic. So they give you a lot of flexibility. Not only can they become an on the line attached tight end, they can put them in the backfield, we can flex them out, and they got the athletic ability to play in space. So, you know, they're two of our better players. And the one thing we have to do is get I think the thing a coach, an offensive coach, does is you get your best players on the field, take advantage of their skill sets, and I'm sure at times this year you'll see both those guys on the field at the same time because they both are really good players. Got to get them in the game.
I promise I'll get to you guys. I want to ask him a couple questions about defense, though. You look at your defense, gave up the fewest points of anybody in Conference USA, but the number that stands out, I think, to all of us is third down efficiency for your defense.
Well, I think the number one thing, if you look at you walk into our meeting room, and the number one thing on the plan to win is to play great defense. If you don't play great defense, you've really got no chance of winning championships. And you know, we've done that around here the last 2 or 3 years, and you know, Coach Heater and his defensive staff do a great job. And you know, we've got really good players on there. But one of the keys to playing great defense is to get off the field on third down. Coach Heater has done a good job of getting that done the last couple of years, and we'll have to do that again this year.
Well, you look at the fact your defense played 965 plus plays, and of the 30 teams that reached that benchmark last year, the only team that allowed less yards than you in that time was Clemson. So your defense has set the tradition that they know how to stop football players.
Well, they do, and like I say, Chuck and our defense staff do a great job. We got really good players. They play extremely hard, and we work at getting that. And one of the reasons that stat is what it is because you get off the field on third down. There's a lot of 3 and outs, and get the opportunity for them to get off the field and get the offense back out there.
Well, let's talk to Gary since we're talking about defense. Gary Thompson, defensive lineman, an impact player, needless to say, for Marshall. How much pride is in the fact of getting off the field on 3 and outs for you?
It's a big impact. Knowing like usually some plays, like some teams, you know, get drives and tries, but in our mind we're like, when we get a chance to get a third down and get off the field, we got to give our offense a chance to get back on the field and score.
Now, you lost a couple of key players on the defensive line this season. Do you challenge the guys that are stepping up as they are the next man up in this?
Yes, well, we always challenge the whole D-line in general because we know who we're losing, we know who we got to actually step up in places, but it's just the next guy in line, we got to continue to play.
Now, one of the things we were talking about, I asked both of you what you worked on in the offseason, and both of you seemed to, the sense was flexibility on both sides for both of you. For you especially, why the flexibility?
Because like playing defensive line, playing lineman period, you're not always going to be like in one position. Your body's going to be like turn, twist, and stuff like that. So you don't want your body to be stiff. So you like our strength coach like helps us entwine our bodies, you know, get different movements and flexibility, so we don't have any problems.
I look at your defense, and I think the players are there to have a lot of success this year. Have you raised the bar even from last year? Mentioned that you allowed less points than anybody else in Conference USA, but does the bar go up another notch for you guys?
The bar always goes up every year. Every time we get a chance to, each game, each practice, we always raise the bar up and challenge ourselves to be the better person than we was yesterday.
Michael Selby also joining us, offensive lineman. We talk about the flexibility, and you were explaining to me why you needed that flexibility. Tell us again about that.
Yeah, you know, we've had some good strength coaches, and we're strong, and but what we've been working on is just moving that weight, the big weights fluidly, and just being very efficient in our movements, which is offensive line that helps you out tremendous. You know, especially with footwork, and like Gary said, you're moving your bodies all different types of ways. You just got to, you know, take the best route to the guy you got to get to, and you got to do it smoothly.
Now, I look at the starters coming back, and also the people that got a 6th year of eligibility, for instance. You have a solid offensive line. How much is it how important, I should say, is it to have those guys returning because of communication between all 5 of you up front?
Oh, it's huge. You know, trust is big along the offensive line, and when you have guys out there that have played a lot of ball and been out there and seen a lot of looks, and yeah, when you have those guys out there that have the experience, it makes a world of difference. And you know, Clint Van Horn's back, and that he's played a lot of football, and Jordan Dowry, all those guys. I mean, it makes a huge difference having guys out there knowing what we're doing.
Is Jordan moving to the left side this year?
George's going to start out at right, and he could possibly move left, but we'll have made that decision.
See, I do my homework, Coach.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, who's the one offensive lineman you would not want to meet in a dark alley?
Oh, well, honestly, I wouldn't want to meet any of them. They're all pretty.
Well, you got this boyish look, so you know, I mean, who's the guy you wouldn't want? Who's the junkyard dog?
I'd say Fred Beno. He's definitely a guy, you know, I'd want my foxhole and go to war with. He's got a little something about him.
How about you on the defensive side? It could be anybody.
I
on the
agree with
defense.
Shelby. It could be anybody on the defense. It's pretty much hard, but I'd probably say Blake Keller. Just something to him. He always going, and he just always got that fight in him. Always wants to pick a fight at practice.
Coach, talk about the guys that have stood out in spring practice on the defensive side of the football. Guys that have to really step up this season to replace those you're missing.
Well, you know, we return a lot of guys defensively. We got Ryan B back, and of course Gary at defensive end. But we got some young kids there that we really like at defensive end position. We lost some inside guys, but we're probably the most athletic bunch inside that we've ever had with Naquan Harris and Tamel One and about 3 or 4 other guys that we think we can roll in there that are really good players. So I'm excited about our defensive line. I think we're really athletic there. I think we can run. The secondary, you know, we lost, of course, Corey Tyndall went out early and we lost backs, but I like our corner position. We had a freshman come in named Chris Jackson in the spring, had a really good spring. Rodney Allen's been tremendous for us at corner. And then we probably as deep at safety as we've ever been. So we got to replace a lot of production at linebacker, losing Evan McKelvey, who was Defensive Player of the Year, and DJ Hunter, who played an awful lot. But, you know, we got Trey back, and we've got Durant back, who's there now. So we got a lot of potential there, but potential gets you beat. Production wins games, and these guys got to understand that's what we talk about all the time. Is I don't think it's not a talent issue on our defense. We just got to make sure that they're prepared to play. Make sure they're ready to go, and we'll be fine.
Okay, the season ends, and people think, oh, the coaches are off. You're not. What do you look for from what you did in the previous season? What stands out that you said we've got to do X, Y, and Z better this year?
Well, I think if you look at our offense, and you know, we got to get better. We got to get more production out of our outside receivers. You know, our running backs got to grow up a little bit, which I thought they did throughout the season. Our offensive line's back intact, and you know, Chase Litton just has to continue to make plays and improve as a quarterback and get better. And you know, your biggest jump should be from your freshman year, true freshman year, until your sophomore year, because you had the off season, the spring ball, and all that prepare. And then defensively, you know, like I say, Chuck and that defensive staff have that bar extremely high, and players aren't an issue. We got players, so we just got to get those guys lined up in the right place, get them up playing extremely hard, which is what we do, and go see what happens.
You had 30 sacks last year on the defensive side of your football. Can you match or exceed that this year?
Well, I think we can. I mean, I think the players are there to do that. And you know, the other thing I didn't mention is, you know, the fourth goal in the plan to win is to play great special teams. I mean, you have to play. You know, it starts with playing great defense and great special teams, and we've done that the last couple of years. And special teams are going to play a big factor this year because we have to replace DeAndre Ruse, who was a tremendous punt and kick returner for us.
Talk about the rest of your special teams and what you have returning, because you talk about those game-changing moments. It could happen on special teams.
Well, there's no doubt. You can totally change the field position with special teams, and you know, our kickoff guys are back intact. We got to be more consistent as far as field goals are concerned. And then we got a punter. We lost a punter. It was a 4-year starter.
Tyler Williams.
Tyler Williams, who was a tremendous punter a year ago. And we lost our long snapper. Didn't have a bad snap in 4 years. Sincata. Yeah. So you got to replace 2 key deals there, but we feel like we got the people on campus that can do that. But until you get them out there in the actual fire, you never know for sure.
Do you need more consistency, though, on special teams?
Well, I think we need more consistency in field goals. I think we've been pretty consistent as far as our kickoff coverage, our punt coverage, our kickoff returns. You know, we've been pretty high up there in the league. Just come a little bit more consistent on field goals. I feel pretty good. If we can match where we were a year ago and of course try to work to get better and be more consistent on field goals, we'll be fine.
Doc, good always to see you again, my friend.
It's always great. Look forward to seeing you in Huntington.
We're going to be there. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
you.
By the way,
having
if I
us.
come down there, hillbilly hot dogs, man. I know, right? But
Yes,
you
sir.
guys got to eat the whole thing. We're going to take a quick break. We will continue our coverage of Conference USA Media Days. Coming up next, we'll take a look at Southern Miss and introduce you to another new coach in the conference.